It's good to be here with you all on this Sunday. You know, Richard's is not going to be here with you again on this stage. He's not going to be dancing and prancing, smiling, grinning. The good news is that the people in the front rows will not have to worry about spittle coming out of his mouth, the baptism, as it were. But all of the energy that came into this world to create that body of Richard Levy has been transformed. It's no longer the way it is as we saw him here. It is no longer. It has been transformed. But here's the truth. The essence of Richard will never die. The essence of what you are will never die. The essence that we are is unchanged. And whatever imprint that he left on your heart is from that essence, is from that deeper place. And for that we can be grateful, not only for Richard, but for each other in that way. While he was here, he taught a lot from this place, did he not? He shared a lot about his struggles and his triumphs. He shared a lot about what he knew to be his spiritual quest and spiritual journey. And he shared in a way to help others, to help you, to help me, to share what he knew. He did. And on June 13th, I don't know if you know this, on June 13th, he did an interview on Unity FM radio. Anybody hear that? On a program called Soul Talk. Oh my gosh. Y'all, most of you have an opportunity to hear that haven't heard that. And the moderator on that interview, at the end of the interview, said to Richard, "So Richard, if this was the last day on the planet, if this was your last day, what is it that you would say to our listeners? What wisdom would you share if this was your last day on the planet?" And Richard said, "Oh, that's easy. I would share my 3 favorite questions. Have you loved well? Have you lived fully? And have you learned to let go?" The 3 L words, as it were. Have you loved well? Have you lived fully? And have you learned to let go? Those 3 things. So I got to thinking about that this week. As I prepared my message, I actually was going in a different direction. But as Richard used to say, everything is cast in jello. And so this morning they were hurriedly folding new bulletins with my new title of my talk that they didn't know. Because I thought, well, but what did he mean by this? You know, it's easy to say it and it sounds, oh yeah, that sounds good. But what does it mean to love well, as opposed to maybe not loving so well? Or to loving poorly? I mean, what does that mean? And most of us, and I'll challenge you, you're probably thinking right now about how well you love other people. Or maybe that you don't love them so well. Maybe that's what it means. Okay? Because too often we talk about spiritual things and then we try to make them true or prove them in the physical world. Well, guess what? I don't believe that's what this love is about. In fact, in the scriptures it says, in order to love other people, in order to love others, you have to love yourself first. You have to love yourself first. What does that mean? Have you ever thought about that? What does it mean to love myself? What does it mean to love myself? Well, here's what it doesn't mean. It doesn't come from the ego. It doesn't come from building myself up so I'm important. You know, it doesn't come from treating myself to a great vacation or a bottle of wine. It doesn't come from taking a day off from work and having a foursome on the links. It doesn't come from treating myself to a great mani-pedi. Okay? That's not what loving the self is about. That's looking outside again and trying to determine by my outside things if I love myself, and that's not what it's about, I don't think. I think we can understand if we're loving ourselves, if we can accept our flaws and our gifts. Yes. If we accept our full self, if we accept our faults and our risks and our gifts, and if we are willing to take a risk to be all we came here to be, regardless of what anybody else thinks, that will prove that you are loving yourself. If you are able to do that. If you are able to admit that you're wrong, if you are able to soften your heart, I think that's when we can love ourselves. I think we can love ourselves when we stand in front of a full-length mirror naked, and we can look into those eyes and see the depths of our soul and heart, and look at the crooked ears and the patches of hair that are gone, and the ingrown toenail, and everything else that we see is negative, and love it all.
Love it all.
Love it all.
Yes.
To the depth of our heart and soul.
Yes.
That's what loving ourselves is about. And you know what? If we can do that, and when we do that, an amazing thing happens. An amazing thing happens. We see love everywhere.
That's right.
We see love everywhere because we see the common nature in every person we see. We see that they're not perfect, and we know that we aren't. And we see our common nature, and we see love everywhere. We love naturally. We love from our heart because we love ourselves enough to share that same love with somebody else. It's not about the outer. It's about the work we do on the inside, loving ourselves. So the question stands, are you loving well? Are you loving well? When you think about your life, why don't you do that right now? Think about your life. What word comes to mind when you think about your life? What one word comes to mind? I'm going to give you just a second here. What is that word when you think about your life? What word is it?
Grateful.
Joy.
Yes.
Is it amazing? Inspired? Full of potential? Something less? You see, I think we live small lives because we don't think big enough. We live small because we're afraid. We're afraid of being all we came here to be. We live small because we refuse to see the beauty and awesomeness in every single moment of our life. We live small. And I'm saying in order to live fully, we need to start thinking big. I mean big. We need to start living with possibility. We need to live in possibility thinking. Instead of, I can't, I can. Instead of, not me, of course, and especially me. Instead of, it's not possible, of course it's possible. Instead of, why not? You see, that's possibility thinking. And living fully is not compared to anybody else, by the way. It's not compared to what Paul is doing, what Richard and Maureen did here. It's not compared to anybody else in your life. It's only about the gift that you are. Okay? Living fully is about being present in every exquisite moment of your life and engaging it and leaning in toward it. Not shirking back from it, not being afraid, not being too timid, but here to express just that little bit of leaning, that spirit urging you just a little bit forward, of leaning into life from exactly where you are, not from where you think you should be, not from where you hoped you could have been by now, but from exactly where you are. See that? Renee and I were on vacation at Yellowstone National Park back in August and September. We had a great time. We were out there in the wilderness of Montana and Wyoming and Idaho, and it was a perfect vacation for us. Stayed in a little log cabin in West Yellowstone. We had a ball. And on the last day, without even asking me, she did this. She made a reservation to go on an ATV. Because she knows if she would have told me, I might have poo-pooed that idea. You know, being the little scaredy cat that I can be. But she said, we're going on this ATV ride. And so she booked this ATV. Next morning we got up and we got this ATV, and it was a two-seater. So I was sitting in the back up above. She called it the stadium seating. So I was up there really high. We had our helmets on. I'm sure we were a sight to see. In fact, if you're a Facebook friend of Renee, you can see her on the ATV. And we started going up these trails, and we were going to be able to see the Tetons from the top of this trail. I mean, it was just awesome. And I noticed early on that Renee was carefully going around every puddle. There were big puddles in the trail, and I'm sure she was afraid that I would be afraid, so she was wanting to go around every puddle carefully so that my back didn't go out or this old lady in the stadium seat didn't fall off, right? And I leaned over and I said, Renee, I bet you would be riding this ATV a lot differently if I wasn't on the back. And she said, oh, yes, I would. And I said, well, I think you just better do it. Well, we had the most fun. We went through every puddle after that. We were holding our feet up, driving through, splashing, and her laugh was heard, I believe, in the Tetons. Miles and miles away. Miles away. She was engaging that moment, whereas before she was too timid to engage, afraid of what I might think, or maybe I'd get off the bike of the thing or something, I don't know. But it was so much fun, wasn't it? Oh, she was laughing. I'll never forget that laugh, that deep being in the moment, engaging life, living it fully, right from where we were. Living fully is about doing it in those moments of joy and happiness and not holding back, as much as it is in grief and challenge. To lean into life, to lean a little bit further, to trust that spirit of the heart, and to lean in. So, are you living fully? Are you leaning in? The third L word, of course, is this learning to let go, which is a different learning than book learning, right? Book learning and that kind of thing is all about gathering it in. How many books do you have on your shelf beside your bed, whatever, gathering it in this way. The learning of letting go is going this way. It's the letting go. The learning of letting go goes this way. And just as in love, the love being, it's not about out here, it's about loving self. This learning to let go is an inside job. Okay? It's not really initially about learning to let go of stuff out here, so much as it is the learning to let go of stuff from the inside. Okay? Are you recognizing that thread through here? There's a book that I looked at, that I've been looking through, called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And she has a few ideas about this letting go process that I want to share with you. Because we tend, like I said, to look outside of ourselves for proof that we've let go of something. But here's what she suggests and how she suggests us beginning to look at this letting go process. She said we must let go of what people think. Perfectionism, the idea of powerlessness, scarcity and fear. How about this one? The need for certainty. The need for certainty. Comparing myself to anything or someone or anything else. Stress and anxiety, self-doubt, being in control, letting go of what has been. You see, from the inside, she's talking about. From the inside. And we need to practice this letting go. It's like you can't just talk about letting go any more than you can talk about swimming. You got to get off the edge of the pool. Right? Golfing's the same way. You got to get out of the cart. You can't play golf on the cart. You got to get out and hit the ball. If you're a writer, you can tell everybody you're a writer, but until you put pen to paper, you have not become that. You've got to practice. We've got to practice this stuff, and we've got to practice letting go. We really need to get this. We really need to get this. Because without this practice of letting go, we are forever tied to all of our thoughts and ideas and beliefs that keep us grounded in our own personal hell. If we don't want to let them go, that's exactly where we stay. That's exactly where we stay. We've got to practice letting go. And truth be told, and you all know this, in the end, when it comes down to it, that's what we'll all have to do. We'll have to let go of all of this. All of our life here, we will be letting go of. Richard just did that. We'd be letting go of it all. We're not taking anything with us. It'll be our final departure. No checked on luggage, no stuffed overhead bins, no return ticket. Gone, letting go of everything. And it kind of makes sense to me, not kind of, it makes sense to me that if we want to do that with grace and ease and in a spiritual sense, maybe we should be practicing now. Maybe we should be practicing now letting go of some of that stuff. You know, I don't know for sure because I'm still standing here, but I think it will make a difference. I've seen people who have gone in that transition with a struggle, and I've seen people who have gone in that transition with grace and ease. And I'm on board with grace and ease. I want to be on board with grace and ease, and in order for me to do that, I have got to practice letting go now. Now I need to practice letting go. Are you hearing that? Here's what these three things point to in my way of thinking. And it's this statement. Now is the time for your awakening. Now is the time for your awakening. Not after the kids are grown, not after I retire, not after when I feel better, not when something's healed, not until I get this done at work, none of that, not until any of that. But now is the time for your awakening. Now, this moment. Every person, every experience, every situation that you're going through right now is available for your awakening. All of it is available for your awakening. So I'm saying, wake up. We need to wake up. We need to become aware. And in our times of supreme awareness, we actually become conscious. And we can feel the godness of our being and every cell enlivened by the Spirit of God. That's what I believe. And here's another bottom line kind of thing. You know what? Nothing happens for a reason. Cross that off your vocabulary or ways of talking. Nothing happens for a reason. There is no preordained divine plan for your life. None of it. There is nothing in your life that is restricting you to be all you came here to be. There is no lesson for you to learn. There is only truth to be unfolded in your heart. Now is the time for your awakening. Now is the time for your awakening. And so, you can ask yourself those questions. Am I loving well? Am I living fully? Am I learning to let go? Are you? I hope so. And I'm glad to be on this journey with you. So peace be with you. Amen.